Well, hi there, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Welcome to the broadcast. You're watching EBN Weekend Edition on the second day of August 2024. It is a pleasure to have you and to broadcast this bulletin for you tonight. We are coming to you live from our communication studios right here in the capital city of Nairobi. What a day it has been. As the vetting continued for the Cabinet Secretary nominees, Kenya's youngest CS nominee, Eric Muga, was at the center of the parliament as well, being vetted, including old faces that you also know, Duale, Davis Chirchir, amongst other CSs who are being vetted for or to join the executive. The vetting exercise continues, but we've got that and much more making headlines across the country. Let's get you started with the day's top stories. Committee on Appointments concludes day 2 of vetting as Kenya's youngest Cabinet Secretary nominee Eric Muga takes on the hot seat. Muranga members of parliament promised to thwart impeachment motion against Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Victims of Mai Mahiu tragedy decry negligence. They accuse government of failing to pay promised rental. Well, your feedback is highly welcomed across our social media platforms, that is on EBN TV. Let's get you started. My name is Cynthia Nanjala. Now, Environment Cabinet Secretary nominee Duale has now argued that he did not directly deploy the Kenya Defence Forces during the anti-government protests that rocked the capital on June 25, 2024. Duale spoke when he appeared before Parliament's Committee on Appointments for vetting on Friday in response to a question posed by Kathiani Member of Parliament Robert Mbui. According to Duale, the decision to deploy the military to the streets amid chaos witnessed during the protests, during which even Parliament was invaded by rowdy youth, was not directly made by him, but rather the Constitution itself.
Why did I deploy KDF? I did not deploy KDF. The framers of the Constitution put Article 241, 3B, and 3C in the Constitution. So Kenya Defense Forces are in the streets. They are in Boni Forest fighting Al-Shabaab. They are in North Rift making sure that we deal with the banditry. They were in Westgate during the terror attack. They were in Garissa University during the terror attack where we lost many people. So for peace, public order, public safety, where the police are overwhelmed, Article 241 3B kicks in the function of the Minister for Defense. By then, me is once the article kicks in, then I am supposed to do certain subsidiary legislation. I gazette. And Mr. Speaker, all of us know Article 132 of the Constitution obligates the President to protect the other arms of government. He is the chair of the National Security Council. That day, the Office of the Chief Justice and the Supreme Court as an institution was under threat, under attack. Parliament and the colleagues sitting here, if KDF did not come to assist the other security agents, God forbid, many members of Parliament could have died, including our Speaker. Parliament could have been burnt. I will not be that irresponsible as a Minister of Defense with a provision of the Constitution. I used the law. And then the House went further the next morning because it was going on a very long recess. They invoked Article 241 3C. But when LSK went to court, Justice Mugambe, I don't want to discuss more because the matter is still in court, gave orders that I should.
Water Cabinet Secretary nominee Eric Muga has said if approved as a Cabinet Secretary, he will ensure that all Kenyans have access to water. Speaking during his vetting, by the National Assembly Committee on Appointments. The 32-year-old also said he will work with accountability and integrity. Muga said he has worked at a consulting firm where his job related to the Ministry of Water. He specialized in water resources engineering for his master's degree at the University of Nairobi.
If you are found suitable by this committee and the National Assembly to be the CS of water, sanitation and irrigation, how will you balance the thin line between completion of existing and ongoing projects and starting new ones? And you should just have in mind, if approved, these members of parliament and many others who are not here will be knocking your door saying there's this project in my constituency, and I want to know whether you'll also be intimidated. So
well aware of our austerity measures. However, projects that have been started have already, Kenyans and the taxpayer has already sunk money in these projects. Honorable Nisula, through the Speaker, my target would first of all to complete these projects and ensure that Kenyans get value for their money. How do they get value for their money? Through connections. The only proof that we are truly working as a country towards achievement of Vision 2030 of 100% water connectivity is by completing the projects and actually having connections to Kenyans. I agree it's a thin line between, because the House members may want new projects in their areas. And I would like to be reasonable. And we'll ask the Speaker, the same matter might come to your House again, to protect me, because members, Kenyans have already spent money on old projects that are not helping anyone. Unless we complete this, then we'll have a chain of incomplete projects throughout the country. And the Vision 2030, and well aware that water is one of the SDGs.
Roads and Transport Cabinet Secretary nominee Davis Chirchir has revealed that if approved for the position, his ministry will make public the details of the proposal to lease the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport to Adani Holdings Limited. Last month, the Kenya Airports Authority confirmed receipt of a proposal from the Indian firm on a public-private partnership arrangement to renovate the airport to international standards. Appearing before the Committee on Appointments for vetting on Friday, Chirchir explained that the government will develop a framework outlined in a term sheet and determine key details such as how the deal will benefit the state.
I have listened to such stories. I think I've listened to those stories about KQ since I joined Parliament 12 years ago. I just want to be direct. Are we going to listen to that story from the next nominee after you? Or how long should you be approved? Will you commit to the people of Kenya that you can be able to sort out the problems of Kenya Airways? Because as you say, it's true, they are on operating profit, but when you factor in their financing costs, then they make huge losses.
Those are some of the quick wins. Some of the more difficult things which I think have been addressed are those expensive leases, on the 7-7 leases, where the cost and the revenues are really challenged. And again, we are having to rely on government to pay on behalf. But as it were, KQ, like we'll all have to agree, from an aviation perspective, is a very strategic asset. So it will be one thing to sit down and first things first. What are the low-hanging fruits? What do we need to address? And what kind of ownership? So it's a leadership issue. We really need to address that. One thing which I'm going to put alongside KQ, G2G, and Adani, and I did prepare the challenge that the country faced in the last 4 weeks in terms of how we work, is the aspect of communication and carrying the Kenyans together with us. Article 35 of the Constitution, and I did make a record of that so that I don't fumble around, where every citizen has the right to information. And in Article 69, it talks to public participation in the environment. In 118, it talks to public participation in facilitating public participation in involvement and in the legislative process, public participation in the National Assembly and in the county government in Article 196, and in the finance area, Chapter 12, it talks about there shall be openness and accountability, including participation in financial matters. Chair, I think as government, we feel like information can only be given out when we have been pushed to give information. The public participation is articulated in the Constitution and in the act that has been in Parliament to basically actualize how public participation should be conducted, and which is causing a pain today, including the ruling that we just had the previous day.
A section of members of parliament from Mount Kenya have stated that they will not sign to the impeachment plans that have been hinted against Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. The MPs, led by nominated Member of Parliament Sabina Chege, have faulted members of parliament for creating sideshows to stem away from their duty and their mandate. Among other things, the leaders took issue with the masterminds of Gachagua's impeachment, saying they will not participate in sideshows and retrogressive politicking.
And I want to assure you, Your Excellency, nimesikia tu hiyo inaitangwa mushene, that there might be an impeachment. And I think I've been on record saying I will not sign, I cannot sign. And I have no time for that, because we need to sit in Parliament and discuss bills that are going to be positive to our education, that are going to help and support our community, lakini sio kufikiria maneno ya personalities.
But if we go ahead and introduce something like impeachment, that is being extremely insensitive with Kenyans. Kenyans has gone through a lot during our government. And now thinking and coming up with a head or a might of something like impeachment of a person who is loved by the people who elected him, I think that's being extremely insensitive. And I could pray, wale ambao wako na hizo akili, tafadhali, let them mind about the people of Kenya who want to do business, who want peace, who want to have the comfort of doing their business, so that at least for the remaining 2 years, we can be able to give services to our people.
Kind request, with a lot of humility. With a lot of humility. I know you know all the gears to apply. You know all the conversation you need to have. And you know the words to use. Yaombi letu kama viongozi, kama watu wa mlima, ni kitu moja peke yake. We know very well this country will prosper when there is peace and the unity of the leaders. Your Excellency, najua you are good in that. Ya pili, we know, Your Excellency, you are good in making sure that we have partnership na kila mtu wa hii nchi nzima, because on us all over to mlima, we cannot go very far. But I do know for sure.
Kujenga kanisa, kujenga shule, kusaidia rais afaulu, sisi tuko hapo. Wale nataka endelea na siasa, waendelee. Na ni sawa. Lakini wakifanya ile siasa yote wanafanya, wanarudi huko ground, wanasikiza, wanapata mwelekeo, wasikuja kupotea. Because mimi naona wengi watakunywa maji. Si hata nyinyi mko na hiyo report. Mko na hata mimi niko na hiyo report. Mimi ni mtu ya kusikiza ground. Mimi sitaki kunywa maji. Hii kazi nilipata juzi na nilikuwa na haja naye. So lazima nichunge kazi yangu. Na njia moja ya kuchunga kazi ni kumheshimu tajiri yako. Na tajiri lazima umsikize anasema nini. So ukikaa unauliza tajiri yako, boss, unataka tufanye namna gani? Hapa naambiwa namna hii, nifanye nini? Hapa mimi nasukumwa nipitishe hii, nifanye ama nisifanye?
Victims of the Mai Mahiu Dam tragedy in Naivasha are facing evictions from their rental houses after the government failed to keep its promise of paying the rent or resettling them. 3 months after the tragedy left over 60 people dead, scores injured and property worth millions destroyed, the victims have continued to languish in poverty and sickness.
Tangia jambo hilo lilipotokea, sasa miezi mitatu imezaisha na tayari watu wetu magari bado wanaumia. Jambo la kwanza ni ya kwamba hawa watu wetu walipokuwa wamewekwa pale katika kambi, mahali walikuwa wamewekwa pamoja, tuliweza kuwatoa mahali pale. Na ni vizuri niweze kueleza ya kwamba na watu wajue na kwamba wale watu walikuwa pale katika kampu yetu walitoroa pale na watu ambao walikuwa wafadhili walitusaidia. Mtu yote alikuwa na uwezo, pesa kidogo ambayo ilipatikana, maana hakuna msaada wa serikali ambao ulikuwa umetumwa ndio tuweze kodishia watu nyumba. Sasa miezi 3 imeisha. Sasa ile swali watu wetu wako nalo ni ya kwamba miezi 3 imeisha, mwezi unaokuja ni nani atakaye walipia nyumba?
Kwangu mimi walinilipia miezi 2 na sasa hiyo miezi 2 imeisha. Hii mwezi yenye iko inaisha sijalipa, na nilifungiwa nyumba kutoka on Sunday. Niko na watoto, nimelala nje kuomba tu watu kwa usaidizi tu, na serikali walituahidi watatusaidia na tupe mahali pa kukaa.
Na juzi nilimuona huko Mombasa, ameenda Mombasa na akawaahidi atawanunulia, atawapatia milioni 300. Kwani sisi ni wanani? Si tulimchagua kiongozi wetu na rais wa Kenya. Ile aliahidi wale, hata sisi hatuahidi. Juu alisema na mdomo yake.
Sasa tunaomba, juu wengi wetu tumefungiwa manyumba, tutaenda wapi? Kama ina uwezekano utulipie manyumba, by tarehe 5 hakuna mtu atakuwa anakaa kwa ile nyumba alirentiwa, walipewa muda wa miezi 3.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, at that point, allow us to take our first breather right here on EBN Weekend Edition. We'll be back shortly. Stay with us.
Hope Rehabilitation Center, where a second chance truly matters.
Welcome, kids! Are you ready for an exciting new EBN Kids show filled with fun activities lined up just for you? Get ready for a fun-filled time with dancing, don't forget, we have amazing talented singers. You raise me up, and even memory verse to learn from.
Proverbs chapter 3 verse 5, it says,
but that's not all. We also have entertaining skits, challenging tongue twisters of the day, and even storytelling seasons to keep you entertained. So sit back, relax, and get ready to have a blast with us as we bring you a mix of entertainment each and every Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. In which channel? EBN TV! Only on EBN Kids!
EBN TV cares about the growth of your business. To advertise with us, call 0725 386 501 or 0740 653 453. EBN TV, transforming your world.
You are watching EBN TV, transforming your world.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Now, the United Democratic Alliance, UDA Party's National Executive Committee, has revoked the appointment of Cleophas Malala as its Secretary General. In a statement issued after a meeting on Friday morning, the committee said Vice Chairperson Hassan Omar will now serve as the Secretary General on interim basis. The committee directed that the National Elections Board make necessary adjustments and continue the first phase of the grassroots elections in the rest of the counties. Earlier, confusion rocked the UDA party after Chairperson Cecily Mbarire called for a National Executive Council meeting on Friday at the Hustler Plaza. Malala, however, rushed to court, seeking interim orders to stop the meeting, insisting that it instead be held on Friday next week.
Hakuna haja ya mashindano madogo madogo. Hata chama yetu ya UDA Kenya Kwanza, mimi nataka niwaeleze, tuwache fujo, tuwache mashindano ndani ya chama, tuhakikishe ya kwamba tunawaunganisha Wakenya wote, tupeleke taifa letu la Kenya mbele.
Now, clinical officers have faulted the government over their lack of action to respond to issues that had been raised in their previous negotiations that saw them strike for over 90 days. The Kenya Union of Clinical Officers Chairman Peterson Washira, for over a month, said the government has failed to remunerate salaries to the officers who have been working. The clinical officers earlier in July called off their strike after signing a return to work formula with the county governors.
Na mojawapo ya mambo ambayo tulikubaliana ilikuwa ni kwamba tukirejea watu watalipwa mishahara yao na watalipwa ile miezi yote ambayo hawakuwa wakilipwa wakati walikuwa kwa mgomo. Lakini tukiwa hapa mwezi mmoja umeweza ukaisha na tumeona ya kwamba hii serikali kwetu imeweza kuandika barua na kusema ya kwamba watalipa tu kwa muda fulani ambayo inaenda kinyume na yale makubaliano ambayo tuliweza kuingia katika return to work agreement.
Rudi kwa mkataba fulani kwa maongezi fulani ambayo tunaita return to work formula. La kustaajabisha, gavana wetu wa Mombasa ni kama hafuati sheria. Manake kulingana na court order zote ambazo zilizomfikia zinafaa turudi kazi na tulipe mishahara yetu yote ambayo tulikuwa tunadai. Kufikia sasa ni watu kadhaa ambao wanajulikana kwa maofisi ndio wamerudishwa kwa kazi, ni watu fulani ambao wanajulikana kwa maofisi ndio wamelipwa mishahara. Wengine ambao wanafanya kazi hawajarudishwa kwa hizo payroll.
Mishahara ilishatolewa. Pesa zimeenda wapi? Zimeibiwa ama zimeenda wapi? Mbona hataki kulipa? Mbona governor asilipe watu ambao wameshafanya kazi? Na kama chanzo kilikuwa mgomo, tumesema kulikuwepo na court order ambazo yeye anatakiwa kuzitimiza. Akiwa mwanasheria anajua vizuri kwamba court order it is not a wishful list. Ni zile ambazo zinatakiwa kutimizwa kisheria, kwa sababu kama hawezi fanya hivyo basi anaendelea kutueleza kwamba sisi pia kama wananchi hatutakiwi kutii sheria yoyote.
Madaktari wametutuma. Madaktari wanasema wapewe tu haki yao. Haki ambayo imeandikwa katika ile tunaitanga return to work formula.
Community members in Shinyalu, Kakamega County have made a firm declaration to defend the rights of women, children, and the elderly in the society. A section of the community made a public pronouncement at Shinyalu Market that they will fight and expose perpetrators of violence against children, those impregnating teenagers, and the ones engaged in promoting early marriages. The public declaration follows an extensive empowerment program targeting leading members of the community through the Together Empowering Society to eliminate abuse of women and children, called the Tetea Project. The project, which is being undertaken by the Kakamega County Widows Empowerment Project in partnership with the International Committee for the Development of Peoples, is meant to create a cohesive and safe community for the vulnerable groups.
Tumefikia hatua kuu katika mradi huu wetu wa Tetea, ambapo tumefanya kitu kinaitwa public declaration kwa vikundi zetu. Baada ya hizi declarations za leo, ambapo vikundi vyetu vimekuwa vikijicommit kufanya mambo fulani kuhusiana na violence against children, wamekuwa wakijicommit kuhusiana na child marriage na teenage pregnancy. Commitments zenye wametoa zinaashiria ya kwamba kuanzia sasa watatoka kwa hatua ya vikundi na waende kwa jamii ili kuwahamasisha na kuwaelekeza ili kutetea haki za wamama na watoto. Tumekuwa tukitrain communities in terms of community dialogue groups. Tumekuwa na child rights clubs katika shule zetu. Tumekuwa na youth clubs ambazo wanaongelea haya mambo katika hiyo level ya youth, na pia tuko na teen mothers. Tunasema ya kwamba once bitten twice shy. So mtoto wetu akipata mimba kama bado mtoto, tunamuonyesha jinsi ya kuishi, kulea mtoto wake vizuri, lakini tunamuelezea kwamba sio mwisho wa yeye kufuatilia ndoto zake.
We have what we call a talk box that was initiated in our schools, and through the use of the talk box, children usually come out and speak out their mind. Through this talk box, we have come to realize that the children are having some problems, both at school as well as at home, and we have been able to advise these children. We have been able to guide these learners We have even been able to counsel these learners so that they are able to overcome the difficulties that they have been experiencing both at school and at home.
Now to sports. Extreme Sports Chief Executive Officer Hussein Mohamed is concerned about the crisis in Kenyan football and has called for a quick fix to save the game. This comes after the High Court barred the Football Kenya Federation National Executive Committee from holding an annual general meeting or doing any act on behalf of the Federation pending a petition hearing scheduled for October 17, 2024. The timeline set by FIFA to conduct elections by October 17th is untenable since FKF members' mandate of the General Assembly comprising elected branch representatives will have elapsed by September 18th, hence no quorum to host an SGM. Kenya's hosting rights of the African National Championship, CHAN, and the African Cup of Nations, AFCON 2027, are also in serious jeopardy as Kenya will be suspended by FIFA if they fail to comply with directives of meeting the election deadline.
Kenya football is officially in a crisis. As of 30th of July 2024, the High Court of Kenya barred Football Kenya Federation National General Meeting. Let me take that up again. As of 30th of July 2024, the High Court of Kenya barred Football Kenya Federation National Executive Committee from calling an annual general meeting or doing any act on behalf of the Federation pending inter-parties hearing scheduled for 7th of October 2024. This essentially means that the FKF National Executive Committee cannot call for a special general meeting to set up the roadmap for elections. This also suggests that the timeline highlighted by FIFA to conduct elections by October 17th is untenable for the simple reason that the mandate of the members of the FKF General Assembly will have elapsed by 18th September 2024, hence no quorum to host an SGM. There will be no office to organize the preparations and subsequent participation of the junior starlets qualifications into the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup, scheduled to commence on the 16th of October at the Dominican Republic. We cannot afford to deny the young girls of this country the opportunity to not only showcase their talent, but to market Kenya's sporting prowess at the global arena.
Well, all right, so that is where we wrap it up tonight. Thank you very much for your wonderful company. Of course, the Olympic Games continue. A couple of races have been on just this evening that has seen, various advancements to the next stages, including Faith Kipyegon, Beatrice Chebet, Margaret Chelimo, who have advanced to the finals of the 5,000 meter. Currently, 800 meter is ongoing. And just looking at the updates so far, Mary Mora has just finished second in the women's 800 meter hits, which means she progresses to the next level as well, which is the semi-final. So we wrap it up at that point. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching tonight. Have yourselves a blessed weekend. My name is Cynthia Nanjala. Good night.